In August of 2015, at a press conference in Berlin, German Chancellor Angela Merkel said something so standard for a politician, it was almost easy to miss.
Wir haben so vieles geschafft, wir schaffen das.
Wir schaffen das, we can do it. Or perhaps more accurately, we will manage it. The it to be managed referred to the unprecedented number of people seeking refuge in Europe that summer, and in Germany especially.
We are now waiting to give our papers. After then, I will go to Germany.
By late August, Germany was already expecting a record 800,000 asylum seekers. And between 2015 and 2016, over 1.2 million would apply. It's been 5 years since Merkel made the Wir schaffen das claim. But did she manage it? Central to this question is an understanding of integration, and we're going to use the government's own definition to measure Merkel's progress. There are 3 basic tenets: equality of opportunity, the actual participation in all areas of social, cultural, and economic life, and a reciprocal process involving the receptiveness of the majority. We're going to examine how these 3 hallmarks of integration stack up against reality. But first, let's be clear about who these asylum seekers are.
Ich würde in diesem Zusammenhang nicht sagen, dass wir es mit der einheitlichen Bewegung zu tun haben, sondern wir haben es mit einer sehr heterogenen Bewegung zu tun.
For one, they're young. 75% of adult males and 65% of adult female refugees were under 35, compared with 28 and 25% in Germany. They're mostly men, outnumbering refugee women 3-1, and they're also far more likely to suffer from psychological trauma, which can make it more challenging to find and retain work. The good news is that the rate of paid work among refugees since their arrival goes up pretty dramatically within the first 5 years. But they still earn, on average, 55% of what a German does. Now, refugees do not necessarily lack education or experience. In fact, the share of refugees in certain occupations before they'd immigrated was not all that different from Germans. But after they'd immigrated, they were far more likely to work as a trainee or an assistant, with a noticeable drop in those specialized fields requiring a master's degree or higher.
Now the plan for us, for my family, is studying and finish the German course, and then for me start my first step in profession in Germany, because the pharmacist in Syria or in Egypt, I was in Egypt also, different from the system here.
And navigating the German system successfully requires German. Of the refugees that came between 2013 and 2016, only around 10% could speak German. However, by the time they arrived, the federal government already had integration courses in place to aid their transition.
What we had now today, the German culture about the Christmas and traditionals, it's so cool.
Over 2.3 million people have been admitted to integration courses since they were first introduced in 2005. But even after all this time, many experts say there's no consensus on how effective these courses are in finding jobs, housing, German partners, and German friends.
Deutlich ist geworden, neben diesem gesteuerten Sprachunterricht in den Sprachkursen braucht es eben den ungesteuerten Sprachlernen, also den Kontakt mit Deutschen, mit möglichst vielen Deutschen, wenn sie in Unterkünften sind, die eher abgeschlossen sind, wenig Kontakt zu Deutschen bieten, dann ist es wesentlich schwieriger, diese Sprache zu lernen. Und das ist eben eine Herausforderung, die weiterhin besteht.
Dafür gibt es uns, die AfD.
The most far-right-wing nationalist party in Germany, the Alternative für Deutschland, or AfD, was founded pretty recently, in 2013. Its platform then was Eurosceptic. But Angela Merkel's welcoming policy toward refugees, literally her Wir schaffen das remark, galvanized a very new political party and its base. Their platform quickly became vehemently anti-refugee.
Die AfD ist in diesem Zusammenhang das, was man eine Protestpartei nennen kann. Es ist nicht nur, es sind viele verschiedene Aspekte, die sie zumindest für einige Menschen attraktiv gemacht hat. Also von daher, Es ist ein Zeichen für die Ablehnung von Bewegungen von Schutzsuchenden in die Bundesrepublik. Es ist ein Zeichen für auch rassistische Tendenzen, ohne Zweifel, aber es ist eben weit mehr als das.
And nowhere was the jump in the AfD's popularity more apparent in subsequent elections than in the former communist East German states. But negative views of asylum seekers aren't just a regional phenomenon. Nationally, they're even slightly worse today. So did Merkel manage the refugee influx? By the government's own standards, not exactly. There's been some progress on jobs and integration, but refugees still fall behind on some key benchmarks, like employment rates and wages. And reciprocal acceptance in Germany comes with no guarantees. But so far we've looked at the situation for refugees within Germany. What about outside? The numbers of asylum applications continue to drop well below pre-2015 and 2016 levels. And the percentage of those actually granted asylum is also on the decline. One way Merkel and her government have managed those numbers is by preventing refugees from reaching Germany in the first place. They've strengthened Frontex, the European Border and Coast Guard Agency, and they've played a key role in negotiating treaties to severely limit refugees' passage, including a controversial one with Turkey in 2016.
Ich glaube, dass wir eine Übereinkunft gefunden haben, die auch doch einen Moment der Unumkehrbarkeit in sich birgt.
For a hefty price tag of up to 6 billion euros, Turkey became the tourniquet for quote-unquote irregular migration into Europe. At the very center of the integration question is, of course, a question of identity. Like many countries, and it's not just in the EU, Germany continues to grapple with how to define itself, whether as a country of immigration, like the US, or not. As Chancellor, Merkel encouraged Germans to embrace that identity, and many did. How will that change once Merkel's popular leadership has ended? Only time will tell.